So I raise my head.
It ain't hard to tell. I excel, then prevail. The mic is contacted, I attract clientele. My mic check is life or death, breathing a sniper's breath. I exhale the yellow smoke of Buddha through righteous steps, deep like the shining. Sparkle like a diamond, sneaker Uzi on an Allen, and my army jacket lining hit the earth like a comet invasion. Nonsense like the Afrocentric Asian, half man, half amazing. Cause in my physical, I can express through song, delete stress like Motrin, then extend strong. I drink my wet with Medusa, give a shot.
Welcome into Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. It's February 23rd, 2020. A lot to talk about. Craziness last night. We'll get to it in a minute.
The Buddha monks in your trunk, turn the bass up. Not stories by Aesop. Place your loot up, parties are shoot up. Nas are analyzed, drop a jewel. Inhale from the L, school of full well. You feel it like well, it ain't hard to tell. I kick the skill like Shaquille holds a pill. Vocabulary spills, I'm ill. Plasmatic, I freak beat, slam it like Iron Sheik. Jam like a tech with correct techniques. So analyze me, surprise me, but can't magnify.
All right, let's go ahead and bring it back in. It is Saturday. That was a little Danger Mouse right there for everybody who don't know. We'll bring that track back in at the end of the show to finish the show out a little bit. But wow, what happened last night? Fight fans everywhere tuning in. It was Fury Wilder 2. Welcome back, by the way. It is a Saturday. I hope you're or Sunday, excuse me. I hope you're having a lovely end of your weekend, getting ready to go back to work and everything. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. But last night, okay, we finally get to Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder 2. First fight ended in a draw. Somehow Fury was able to wake his ass up in that first fight and get off the mat. And we saw all the hype coming into it, right? We saw the press conferences. We saw him making appearances on different shows. We saw the little scuffle at the presser. And to me, I'm sorry, the presser at the scuffle at the scuffle at the presser, to me, it looked very, very staged. It looked like after hearing these guys talk about how much respect they have for each other and how much respect they have for boxing, and Wilder saying he wants to be looked at as the hero, but he's often cast as the villain, and the story behind Fury, you know, hitting rock bottom and working his way back after the Klitschko win several years ago now. It just looked staged. It looked like, oh, I'm going to push you, you're going to push me, we're going to get in each other's face a little bit, let's build some hype. Even to the point to where the Nevada State Athletic Commission jumped in and banned a face-off after weigh-ins, right? They couldn't get up against each other because, oh, we've got to keep these two behemoths, these two fighters from going at it and hitting each other, or something happening before the fight. We've got to keep that from happening at the weigh-in. So we're going to have them stand 20 feet apart and stare at each other, building the hype for this fight. So the hype was there. Everybody wanted to see it. It's heavyweights. People love the heavyweight division. Fight's going along, you know. Here comes Wilder. He comes into his entrance, looks badass. I picked him to win the fight. Fury comes in. He does his thing. They get in. They're going at it. And I'm sitting there asking myself, where's Wilder? What's going on? This is the Fury I expected. I expected him to come out with some aggression. I expected him to come out boxing. I expected him to push it a little bit based on what he was saying. And he did. And by all accounts, he was going to win that fight regardless. The only thing that was going to save Deontay Wilder at the end of that fight was if he managed to get one of those one-punch knockouts and accidentally catch Fury at some point. Because he was getting beat all around the ring. It was not the same Deontay Wilder we're used to seeing. It's almost like he took the night off. Conspiracy theorists around boxing would say it was set up that way for Fury to win so that the third fight would be even bigger. Right, because boxing has that idea out there, that overhanging umbrella. And a lot of boxing is staged or fixed. It's rigged. It's predetermined. The judges can be bought. I don't think that's what happened last night. I think one fighter showed up. I think one fighter was overconfident. And I think the fighter that showed up had a good night. The knockdowns early in the third round, I saw them. Okay. They didn't really stun him in any way. They were knockdowns. They caught him off guard. He wasn't prepared. It was not the same Deontay Wilder. It was a more aggressive Tyson Fury. And there you are. You get later in the fight. You're kind of getting beat up in the corner a little bit. At this point, you really have no chance of winning the fight outside of, again, that one-punch knockout. You have blood coming from your ear. And your corner throws in the towel. Now, that's one thing I never thought I would see from a Deontay Wilder fight. I thought at least he'd fight to the end. I understand protecting your athlete. I understand sometimes you've got to take the decision out of their hands. I really do understand that. Because I would have been the athlete that sometimes that decision needed to be taken out of my hands. But at that point in the fight, it was looking to me like he was hanging on. He was really surviving at that point, I guess. So you take that. He's kind of surviving. He's not really landing anything effective. Fury's kind of having his way. He's putting him in a headlock every other tie-up, which I don't know why that wasn't addressed, but that kept happening. And then there were psychological head games going on again because there will be a third fight. When you see the video of Fury flicking his tongue by Wilder's neck, while there's the blood all over the side of Wilder's body. I don't know if he actually licked his neck. I don't know if he actually licked the blood. But that's a psychological warfare right there, because Wilder will see that before the next time they come back, next time they fight. And that will be in his head that happened. People will address that to him. People in his inner circle, his boys, somebody's going to bring that up to him more than once. So there's head games already going on. Fury walks away the new WBC heavyweight champion. Ending again another streak. He ended the Klitschko streak. He's now ended Wilder's streak of heavyweight title defenses. And we're almost seeing a pattern here with Wilder, right? We've known that he's the big bomber. We know he can knock people out. But you look at what Ortiz did in the second Ortiz fight. Outboxing him. Wilder didn't look like he was going to be able to retain it there, and then boom, he laid it on him, got that one-punch knockout. But until that point, Ortiz was kind of outboxing him, outpointing him in that match. So Wilder's going to have to go back to the drawing board a little bit, work on some different skills, add something to his game, and come back and bring something with the boom for his next, shot at a title. And like I said, people love the heavyweight division. We need a great heavyweight division in boxing. That's what has always made boxing great. It's never been the lighter divisions, the lightweights, the heavyweights, the strawweights, the flyweights, the bantamweights, all the other in-between weights. If you're not a boxing aficionado, if boxing is not your thing, you don't know those guys. You're not tuning into those guys. It's a very niche thing at that level. The heavyweight division has always been the thing. With the Alis, the Nortons, the Foremans, the Holmes, the Fraziers, the Linstons. Even the Tyson Holyfield Lewis stretch. Now you've got Joshua, you've got Ortiz, you've got Wilder, you've got Fury. You've got a pretty solid division right now. Some people say, well, the Klitschkos were good. Yeah, the Klitschkos had a great run, both the brothers. But at a time when there was really nobody in the division. At a time when Lennox Lewis was exiting the division. Who was their big, who was the big rival? There wasn't anybody. So we need big fights. We need big dogs in the fights. And I think we have that right now. I think there's a mix of that going on right now. And we're going to see a third fight in this installment. There might have to be a different fight before that takes place. If it does take place, I would think it's going to take place sometime this year. Maybe near the end of this year, October through December sometime. But we'll see. There was the pre-fight report out there that Fury was thinking about, walking off into the sunset. Who knows? Who knows? But I was caught off guard. Many people were caught off guard. I expected a lot more from Wilder last night. I have to say, as not a huge fight fan, but an avid, or not avid, a casual fight fan, I was disappointed. I wanted to see more from Wilder. I thought we'd see that aggression. I thought we'd see him try and go for it a little more. It seems like he kept it cocked. He kept it ready, looking for that opportunity, and he didn't try and create the opportunity. So all the hype for not. Congratulations to Tyson Fury being the new champion. Hopefully better things to come for both fighters and the division. Better things to come for the NFL and the CBA labor negotiations? Maybe. Excuse me. As we all know, the owners have approved a ratified version of the new CBA. They passed that on to the NFL Players Union Board of, what do they call it? Executive Committee. Executive Committee voted 6-5 not to approve it to the Players Association. It now is going to go to the full Players Association for a vote, where all they need is a simple majority for it to pass. That being said, I would not vote for it if I was a player, and I would encourage my other players not to vote for it. And we'll get into that in a minute, but let's get into what it says, what it will include, some of that kind of stuff. And a lot of this Adam Schefter reported. The fact sheet is out there if you want to take a look at that. I have a printed copy around here somewhere that I was looking at. But a lot of these things, it's been talked about for a few days. And you can check the fact sheet out, the NFLPA. It's out there publicly again to check that out. But players would go from 47% share under the current deal to 48% share at 16 games and a 48.5% share if they go to 17 games. So let's clarify some of that language. In our day-to-day jobs, yes, we would all like to be making the money that athletes make. If you look at what their percentage of this money is, this is not all revenue that's coming into the NFL. This is part of the revenue that's coming into the NFL. Mostly it's just the TV money that's coming into the NFL that they're getting this percentage of the money from. There's a whole other bucket of money that the owners are only getting money from. To me, we've heard this argument all over every market, local radio station. Nobody's coming to see the owners do anything on Sunday. Nobody's paying to see Jeffrey Ross in Miami. Nobody's coming to see the Bolin family in Denver. Nobody's going to see, Jerry Jones sit in the box and cheer with his son. Like, that's not why Cowboys fans are going to watch football on Sundays. So just starting with the revenue sharing, that needs to get more to 50-50 across all of revenues coming in. Because as David Bakhtiari pointed out, there's over 1,700 players that are going to share their percentage of the money and 32 owners that are going to share their percentage of the money. And don't give me the argument of it's the owners, it's the business, that's how business works. No, because very easily, if these players wanted to, they could not sign this. They could go join the XFL, make it a huge deal, so that the NFL then really did have competition. And the money would be pumping in over there because now they would have the best players. Do I expect that to happen? No, I don't. Watching the XFL, it's a nice product. It's a good product. I don't think it's going to fold after this season or during this season. But it's very clearly lower level professional football. Somewhere between arena and the NFL. Similar to, like I said a couple weeks ago, the Mountain West Conference versus the SEC or some of those bigger conferences. Okay, so that's the percentage. That would shift $5 billion of revenue to the player side. Again, sounds like a huge number, right? But that's over a 5-year period, not each year. It's the market value of their profession, not your profession. So personal feelings on the numbers aside, because they're big. Dividing that over 1,700 players over 5 years, it's not that big of an increase for them, where it's a much bigger increase for the owner's side. No matter what you make during your season, that 17th game would be capped at a $250,000 check. So if you're making, more than, I think it's $10 million a year or something, all of a sudden your game check goes down for that extra game you're now adding, because they want to add 17 games. That's their big focus. And they're like, oh, well, we'll get rid of a preseason game. So really you're playing the same amount of games. It's just we're shifting one from here to there. Okay, well, like we talked about on this show a few months ago, where does that extra home game go? It can't be some teams get 9 home games and some teams get 8, because that is an imbalanced system. So now you're incorporating a neutral site game for everybody each season. So that, to me, means the London series is going to get bigger, or the Mexico series is going to get bigger, or they're going to add something, Toronto, maybe go back to Asia again, or something like that, to get these neutral site games in. So that's about a cash cow for the owners, because they're going to be bringing in revenue that the players don't see off of that. Oh, that's business. Don't give me that argument. No, it's not. That's BS. That's what that is. Rosters would go up. Great. Rosters are going to go up on game day by 3 players or by 2 players. Overall rosters would go up by 2 players. Practice squad players would increase. The practice squads would increase by 2 players. 4 by 2022. Teams would be allowed to bring back 3 players from IR during the season. The playoff system would expand to 7 teams in each league, which I actually like that. That's fine. I don't mind that change at all. I don't mind the 1 bye for the top seed. I think that will increase the push, the drive to try and get that number 1 seed. So I do like that aspect. And then testing for pot goes down and the punishment for pot goes down. Okay, great. So basically what you're offering us is a drop in the bucket on a percentage of an increase, and a drop in an NFL bucket, yes, turns out to be $5 billion over actually I said 5 years, the 10 years of the next labor agreement is what that would shift. And you're going to let us smoke as long as we don't get in trouble for it outside of that. You're going to let us use CBDs for pain management. You're going to let us, this is a ridiculous deal. And yes, there's a lot more to it. Yes, these are just the bigger points that have been talked about. But it's not enough. I'm sorry. There needs to be more for the longevity of the game, the longevity of the players. I don't think something like lifelong health insurance is a necessity. I think money management needs to be built into this as part of a program for these players, similar to how they have the rookie symposium. They need to have other training courses and options for these guys, like they're doing with the broadcasting camps and things like that. Have financial sessions, have leadership sessions, have sessions on how to make sure your circle's tight and you're not being taken advantage of, and how to actually monitor your stuff and not just put it in somebody else's hands. So you don't see these Clinton Portis type situations where guys are losing millions, tens of millions of dollars because they're being taken advantage of. You don't have the latchers on who are trying to get on your name, like what happened with Marcus Ogden when he started his construction company after leaving the NFL. You don't have these guys being latched onto and becoming meal tickets. Get some of that in there. Get them years of insurance for years of service. So if you hit a certain level of years of service in the league, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is, you hit that mark, then every year after that you're in the league, you earn a year of health insurance when you're out of the league that you don't have to pay for out of your pocket. continue to say, you know what, we're going to take care of the guys from the past. We're going to build a fund for them to come and get some money from if they need to, for medical expenses, for test results, for living, because they didn't make the kind of money these guys are making now. Have that be a fund like a pension or whatever, like Social Security for the NFL, that's just there that everybody feeds into, and it's part of that family. Make sure there's something like that in there. Don't worry about the number of padded practices. Again, you have to play football to get ready to play football. We can't continue to take that aspect out of the game. Otherwise, we might as well just move over to flag football. And yes, I get agitated when I talk about that because football is a contact sport. So this idea that we're going to get rid of padded practices, we're going to have less padded practices. You can't be a track athlete and go out on Sunday and play football. One day there will be a study done, and when they study the shift of how people got ready to play this game, they're going to notice how many hamstrings and knees and other things had issues because they stopped training to play football and started training like track athletes to be explosive and quick and fast. And they took all of the physical pounding and the pushing and that aspect out of it. That is part of conditioning your body to play this game. And I can't stand that they're taking that out of the game, especially at the top level, because it hurts offensive linemen, it hurts defensive linemen, and that's why we're not seeing good football until week 4, 5, and 6, except for a few teams every season that kind of hit the ground running. That part needs to come back into the game somehow. I'm fine with the 3 preseason games. I really am. That's fine. But as a whole, this agreement, it needs to be talked about more. It needs to be argued more. I'm not surprised that the owners came out and did it so quickly and put it out in the press so quickly, because they're trying to look like good guys in this situation to the fans. They're trying to make it look like, look, we're doing everything we did. We passed it. It was the players who didn't want it. Don't be mad at us. Be mad at them when they go on strike. They have the weakest players union in all of professional sports. The baseball players union has the most power. The basketball is gaining power. I'm not really sure, all that sure about hockey, but I know they don't have the problems that the NFL players union has. They continue to give in to stuff. They continue not to get enough back. And I don't mind. As a hardcore, lifelong football fan, it's my favorite thing. I would not mind if they went on strike for an extended period of time, if the season after next was a complete wash, and the business side of that game was handled a little bit more fairly. And again, I support the players a little bit more. I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, they make millions of dollars, they're fine. Because if it was my industry, is what I do to pay my bills day to day, and the numbers were reversed, and I'm making that kind of money, and my bosses are making that much more money than me off of my blood, sweat, and tears, I'm going to want to balance that out as well. It's not real hard to put yourself in that situation and go, you know what, yeah, I can understand that. So we'll see. I think they're set to vote on it sometime this week. I think Wednesday, sometime around there. But my bold prediction for that is that it's not going to get the vote. It's not going to pass this time around, and it's going to continue to be talked about. I don't know that they'll end up striking after next season. I'm not going to guarantee that. It could be worked out, but I don't think this initial ratified by the owners agreement is going to pass with the players. We've seen so much pushback already, hard no, from a number of top-name guys, Chris Harris, J.J. Watt, and others, Richard Sherman. I don't see it passing. I really don't. I do have other bold predictions for the NBA season as we enter the second half. Those games have already gotten started, which is great. You know, it's been a great season. It's been a fun season. It's been a talkative season. A lot of storylines this season, ups and downs as far as different players and offenses and small ball and, you know, all kinds of things that are going on. But my 5 predictions, I don't know how bold they are. They're just kind of goofy thoughts more than anything, I guess. Bold predictions. They could happen. Anything could happen. But if I'm looking at it, I'm going to say the Western Conference Finals will not be 2 LA teams. I'm going to say there might be one LA team. There might be no LA teams in the Western Conference Finals. I was going to say that the Nuggets, well, you know what? No, I will say, I'm going to say that as my second one. The Nuggets will make the I'm going to say they'll make the NBA Finals. Not even the Western Conference Finals. The Nuggets will represent the Western Conference in the NBA Finals this year. So that's my second bold prediction. So not 2 LA teams in the Western Conference Finals, maybe one. The Nuggets will move on to the NBA Finals. I'm going to say Trae Young passes James Harden for the scoring title. He's going to go on a run. The small ball lineup in Houston is going to lend less opportunities to James Harden to have the ball in his hand. And when he does, he's going to be trying to push it too much. So Trae Young edges him out in the final week of the season to win the scoring title. I'll say Curry does not come back March 1st. I say Curry misses the rest of the season. Him and Clay come back next year, just like Kyrie and KD will come back next year. And then I'll say that the current 1 through 8 in each conference make the playoffs, not necessarily in the order that they're in right now. Those will be my 5 predictions for the rest of the NBA season. I like what the Nuggets are doing this year. They've built on what they did last year. They're still pretty inconsistent, in my opinion. I think they could play a lot more consistently. They are in that second seed, but they're 6 losses behind the Lakers right now. 5 games back, but 6 in the loss column. And when you're getting down to 30-something games left, 30-something games left, that loss column is pretty important. 1 loss up on the Clippers. Houston and Utah both at 20. Oklahoma City, who's really been, coming up strong as of late, at 22. And then Dallas and Memphis. I really thought Portland was going to find a way to crawl back in there, but right now it seems like they're going to get close, and they're just not going to get there. Maybe they will. They're only a couple games behind Memphis for that 8th seed. Memphis is young. They're hungry, but they could be got. I don't think Dallas falls out. And the Lakers right now are sitting pretty with, 42-12 record. On the Eastern Conference side, Milwaukee, I don't see them making 70 wins. They're definitely going to have more than 60. I don't think they're going to get to 70, however. Toronto's having a remarkable season. And I'm sure many others would have agreed that Toronto is going to take a step back this year. That losing Kawhi, that team was not going to be as good. And that just has not been the case like we talked about last week. It's been so impressive what the Van Vliets and Serge Ibaka's and Pascal Siakams have done this season. And to the coaching and everybody else, that is a team right there. You're not going to just roll over them in the playoffs. You're going to have to beat them. So congratulations to them. 9-1 over their last 10. Remember, they had that big, 15-game win streak right before the All-Star break. Boston, they're gritty, they're tough, but And Miami, same kind of thing as Boston. Gritty and tough, but I just don't see it going anywhere. After that, in the East, you just got teams. Philadelphia's not going to do anything. The Pacers won't, the Nets won't, and the Magic won't. But they'll be in the playoffs, and congratulations to them for making it that far. And then as far as the scoring title goes, you look at the leaders right now, and James Harden's got probably a little more than a 5-point lead on the scoring title right now over Giannis and Trae Young. He's at 35-2, and both of those guys are at 30. But we'll have to see how this small ball lineup for Houston works out, how many touches James Harden's going to be able to get out of it. Does he get the same amount? Are the other guys just out there more to be facilitators, rebounders, and James Harden and Russell Westbrook are going to just kind of be doing their thing? So we'll have to see how that works. We saw the guys the Clippers added to kind of be bench guys to, I think, basically give Kawhi the ability to spell himself more during the regular season. You got the Lakers and Celtics on TV today. That'll be a fun game to watch. It always is. So good stuff like that. Bad stuff on the other hand of sports. Greg Robinson, what the actual are you doing? You are the worst criminal ever. You've made over $20 million in your career. I think you made $6 million or something last year playing for the Browns. And you get caught with 157 pounds of cannabis coming across the border, not even in a car or truck or anything, in your Uber. Now, you haven't been the best player. You've floated around a lot. You've been on some few teams, but you were on an NFL roster. You were making money. You lived in a country where many states you can go and get it. The NFL was proposing that they weren't going to be testing for it anymore. Why did you need 157 pounds of cannabis from Mexico in an Uber to cross into the United States? Did you really think because you were in an Uber that you could get away with it? Oh, I didn't know. And the Uber driver wasn't going to say something like, oh, that's his stuff. I just picked him up. It makes absolutely no sense. It's the dumbest thing he could have done. It's like he hasn't learned from anybody's mistakes in the past that have done stupid stuff like this in the NFL. I don't know how he got himself mixed up into the situation or what he was doing, or if, he owed somebody something, or he's helping a buddy, or just dumb all around. There's absolutely no reason for him to be involved in this. He's going to face a suspension now. And because he hasn't been that good of a player, and really his best year was last year for Cleveland, he might not have a career in the NFL anymore. Because this is not going to be a simple 2, 3, 6 games. No, he will be suspended for the entire next season. There's no way they don't suspend him for the entire season with 157 pounds of cannabis when he's being charged with intent for distribution. Unbelievable. And it's not the only unbelievable thing that happened in sports this week. We all saw what happened on the last lap of the Daytona 500. Many of us had thoughts of Dale Earnhardt back in the early 90s and what happened on that track with Dale Earnhardt going to the same hospital and passing that Ryan Neumann was sent to after his horrible crash. Unbelievable. But that goes to show the amazing safety equipment and the precautions that they have tried to make to keep that sport and those drivers safe. The fact that he was able to wake up, communicate, play with his daughters, and then walk out of the hospital is unbelievable. It's amazing. And it is a testament to how sturdy those cars are built, the safety precautions and the testing that they do, because by all measures, he should be dead. An accident like that, you're not supposed to walk away from. Minimum, he should have been in a wheelchair or something. So watching that video of him walking out of the hospital, holding his daughter's hands, and no, he's not 100%, but the fact that he could do that, truly unbelievable. One of the reasons I love sports is because of the amazing stories like that you can see. Another one is because of times where athletes and franchises have the ability to stand up and defend or do what's right by somebody. And in the case of this 9-year-old Caden Bayless, the Australian boy who lives with dwarfism, we've all seen the story. And the local rugby team stepped in down there, as many people have. The actors, comedians, Hugh Jackman, Brad Williams, they all, got together. They've raised money. They're going to send the kid to Disney World. But we saw the video, him shedding his pain, his tears, wanting to be dead because of the bullying that he is facing at 9 years old because he lives with dwarfism. Because we're not doing a good enough job as adults of teaching our kids it's okay to be different and that we're all different and that the best people accept that and learn about people and learn about those differences. That doesn't mean we all have to be different. That doesn't mean we all have to like or understand. We just have to have that respect to try and learn. and then go, you know what, I can be good with this, I'm okay with this, I'm strong enough to deal with it, or I'm not, and I'll be honest about that, and we just really shouldn't hang out or interact because I'm not able to do that. I'm going to hang out with other people that I feel more comfortable interacting with. It sounds so easy, so shallow. I don't know what you want to say, but it's something I struggle with. I try and focus on every day. But the fact that this kid had to deal with that he's bullied so much at that age for something that's out of his control, that he's not allowed to just be who he is. It's really not okay that we're still that type of a species on this planet. So major props to everybody who stepped up, donated money, wanted to help this out, but go beyond that, right? Do more. They're going to get this kid MMA training. He already got to go out to the rugby game. He's going to Disney World, all those kind of things. But talk to your kids. Don't just do it because you saw it on social media, because you saw it on your local news. Make it something that you pay attention to in your own life. It's not just about kids. It's really about us. When we see people of differences, are you going to look them in the eye and say hi? Are you going to wave and, acknowledge them? Or are you just going to walk by because you're not sure and because you're making judgments and predetermined decisions in your head? Step outside of that comfort zone. Do that today. Say hi to somebody you normally wouldn't have said hi to. Look them in the eye. If you have the chance, introduce yourself and shake their hand. Sports have always kind of had a way of dealing with bullying within the sport itself. Sometimes even by, using bullying to bully the bullies, which makes no sense. But in this kind of situations where athletes are able to give back and in a way where it's going to make other, especially fans of that rugby team, go, you know what? Yeah, that kid's fine. Yeah, he looks different. Yeah, his arms are shorter. But, I'd hang out with him. I'd play video games with him. Like, he can come to my house and chill. It breaks down barriers. It opens up doors. And it almost forces people to go, you know what? Oh, you like my team too? We have something in common. Let's hang out. So just that ability to open those doors and do different things and bring light to some situations to other people that otherwise wouldn't have known is why that's I Love Sports 21. And again, why I Love Sports is a segment I got from a friend of mine, Mike Fruitman, Mike Stadium Sports Cards here in the Denver area. Check him out. Great guy, great products, great to talk to, loves to talk sports and hang out. So check him out over there. Why I Love Sports 21. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, you know how we do. Just be real.
It ain't hard to tell. This rhythmatic explosion is what your frame of mind is chosen. I leave your brain stimulated. Niggas is frozen. Speak with criminal slang. Begin like a violin. End like Leviathan is deep. Well, let me try again. Wisdom be leaking out my grapefruit true. I dominate break loops. Giving Mike's ministry cycle. Streets disciple. I rock beats that's mega trifle. And groovy was smoother than moles by Villanova. You're still a soldier. I'm like Sly Stone and Cobra. Packing like a roster in the weed spot. Vocals will squeeze Glocks and CZs drop. Though they need not to sneak. My poetry's deep. I never fell. Nas's rap should be locked in a cell. It ain't hard to tell.